get everything out of the car with this setup to help themselves get the best time.
We're talking about the problems and things with dust and the track cleaning. We're going to take a look back at Q1 so you guys at home can catch the action from that if you didn't see it earlier. So this was the first race of the day. Petter Solberg managed to get the whole shot. He was out front, typical sort of Solberg style, mouth open, and got on with it, took the checkered flag, set the time for everybody else to try and beat. On to the second race, and the two GCK cars had a nightmare. Not as much of a nightmare as Demustier though, who lost a wheel. That cost Tommy Rustad time as well. Pekka Rajla out in the start machine taking the checkered flag. He's had no testing, so good job by him. That was a big hit for Kristoffersson from Larsen behind him. Had contact with Alex Burns, who makes his debut in Rallycross here this weekend. You can see the damage on the rear corner of the VW. Didn't stop him going top of the timesheets though at this point in the session. Then we were getting on to some randomly drawn races, remember, for Q1. They had some very, very quick drives. In bit of carnage there for Loeb. Managed to hang on to the Peugeot, which Guy Wilkes was saying is looking extremely well balanced. Doing a good job as well to get back out in front of Backerud. Home Backerud, hoping for maybe a better result than this, but of course it is only Q1 and it is a very long weekend. He won't be getting a clean sweep this time though. Loeb took it. He was 3/10 off Kristoffersson. On to the final race, Hansen and Ekstrom. We didn't really know if Timmy wanted to go to the Joker then or not, but because of the line, Ekstrom took a look at that. He's a wily character, isn't he? Covering it off on the exit, keeping it tidy. Kevin Hansen had done a mega job. He came down towards the Joker lap merge and was just up the inside of Ekstrom, so he pushes Ekstrom slightly wide. Timmy Hansen got up the inside as well. Kevin took the checkered flag, but it wasn't enough. Kristoffersson had taken the session. So these were the standings at the end of Q1. Johan Kristoffersson having beaten Loeb, remember, by 3/10. Were those 3/10 in that little bit of contact that Loeb had between turn 1 and turn 2? Solberg, Timmers, Yarnov, great job in the Hyundai. Kevin Hansen, Timmy Hansen, Backerud and Ekstrom, look, the two Audis down in 7th and 8th. Niklas Gronholm, so the other Hyundai up there as well, but Larsen, Eriksson, Baumanis all in the Fords. Of course, 2 from MSE, 1 from Stard. Markland at the minute missing out. Rajla in the sister Stard car. Munich, Oliver Bennett, and everybody down at the bottom. Look, 2 regulars, Guerlain Chicherit, Jérôme Grosjean in. Disaster for that team in the first session today, and Demustier as well with that lost wheel. 3 cars on the grid, and these of course are the guys I've just mentioned who've had an absolute disaster. Guy, they really need to get it right this time or it's weekend over.
Yeah, absolutely. They had some clutch problems. I went and chatted to the team, and basically, you know, they really know the pressure's on them, but they want to pull something out the bag.
On then to the first race of Q2. On the inside, Guerlain Chicherit, his teammate Jérôme Grosjean in next to him, and Grégoire Demustier in slot number 3. 3-car race this one. We've actually potentially lost a car in this qualifying session, but we'll wait and see whether or not they turn up to the grid. Marshall's waiting for the thumbs up. Look at that crowd, absolutely massive turnout here in Norway. It really is. They love their rallycross. They'd love to see a home win. These guys would love to get a decent result following disasters in Q1. Will GCK get the RPM right this time? It's a very long hold. Green light, very even start. Looks like Grosjean in might edge Chicherit slightly. Chicherit's got the inside line there. Demustier around the outside. Surely Demustier goes Joker.
Oh no!
Two GCK cars go standard lap. Chicherit's in behind Grosjean. Grosjean was quick yesterday, Guy. What did you think about that decision?
Well, maybe they were a bit hesitant, the guys in the GCK cars, because they weren't sharp off getting off the clutch. Demustier actually left them, and Guerlain Chicherit probably felt a bit flustered. I asked him before, you know, what was his strategy, and he wanted to go get off the start line well and go standard lap. He was on pole, but he climbed all over the curbs. Let's hope he hasn't got a puncher. That will really hamper his weekend.
Grosjean was really quick, as I say, in practice, so we know the car's got some pace here. For whatever reason, you know, they say clutch, whether it's clutch, RPM, whether it was a problem which we don't know about. They both sat for a very long time, which seems strange before they restarted. Chicherit in the gravel up at turn 1, and now we see Chicherit goes Joker lap. Grosjean stays on the standard lap. Chicherit should come out in front of Demustier, looking at the angle we're at. Nicely done. Yeah, it took a while to restart, Guy.
Yeah, it did. When a car's hot, a turbo car like this, when it's the turbo temperature's massive, under bonnet temperatures are massive, you know, with evaporation of fuel and things like that, just trying to get the thing to fire up, it's so tricky. But what I was going to say is Guerlain Chicherit really needs to get the hammer down now, because he's gone Joker. and Demoustier is already jokered, and he's not that far behind him. That is not joker lap gap.
So if you're cross stationing in now, obviously these guys are teammates. In some ways they want to keep them apart, I guess. We've spoken about the dust, I guess
he's into the joker. There's no team play here. They're looking after themselves.
So cross stationing's gone joker. That's probably to protect himself from his teammates. A tidy joker lap. I think he should come in front of Shisrit. He does. And now, Guy, focused, get to the finish as fast as you possibly can.
Yeah, absolutely. It's Ghislain Chichery is obviously just behind Grosjean in here, but he's not close enough for it to hamper him really. But the dust is coming back, isn't it? There's been a little bit of cleaning, I think, in between the two sessions, and obviously a few other classes have been running. But the dust over here doesn't look bad on the screen. In the car, it's always worse, the visibility with the naked eye.
You're just that bit lower, aren't you, too? And of course, with the elevation change here, your reference points are different.
It's a very tricky track. It's three-dimensional, so you're up and down and over crests, and you're turning in to blind apexes. So here we go, last lap.
Cross section in by 0.9 of a second. Time in Q1 of Kristoffersen was a 2:39.9.
Yeah, so but he was in 38s, low 38s. These guys are only touching 39.4, so it doesn't look like it's really going to be that quick. But let's see. I don't believe the track's gone slower.
You don't believe the track's slower? Okay, so Guy Wilkes thinks the track should be faster at this point, in which case maybe these guys are just not quite matching the pace of the world champion. Let's be honest, that's why he's the world champion. So cross section in through the final corner, up towards the jump, over the line. He takes the checkered flag from teammate Ghislain Chichery. We're waiting on Demoustier. Demoustier in the background, you can see crosses the line there, comes past our commentary position. We're up in the spotters tower, and those guys have stopped the clocks at 2:45.0. So there you go. 2:45.083 and 2:45.8, so they're only 7/10 apart. 2:51.8, and Max Pusher is indeed listed as a DNS, and that is unfortunately he's had to give up his gearbox to his teammate. Let's go and have a catch up with Neil Cole.
Jerome, after the difficulties in Q1, you must be happy to get a good Q2 in. Did everything feel good with the car?
Yeah, it's good. We had a technical problem on Q1, so it was good to do a good Q2. I'm feeling happy with the car. I have a good feeling, and it's very, very good to drive. It was the first race of the Q2, so I know how fast the track can grow the speed, but I'm happy. It's always good to win a race. Thank you.
Thank you.
Take another look back at the first race from Q2.
It looked like Ghislain's car was just creeping a little bit, and he had to dive on the clutch again there, but watch him ride over the inside of the curbs there. Not ideal, and that would have knocked his confidence.
If you've seen Demoustier going to the joker lap anyway, would you have gone in with him? I think it might have been a safer bet not to, wouldn't it?
Yeah, you just don't know where, Demoustier's pace is sometimes really, really decent, and sometimes is not quite there, but these guys, you just want to have a clean race. There's only 3 of them. The track is really open, so you just want to split your strategies and try and obviously not get balked.
Well, that's what they did. Cross section in, jokering a lap after Chichery. This was it. Cross section in around the long right-hander. Tidy job by him. He crosses the line in front of his teammate Chichery, and that is a much better result. Going to be much happy with that. It wasn't ideal last time. Say one ended up left on the line, the other one was ended up just up there in the gravel. It took them a long time to restart. And Guy, because there's a few extra entries here this weekend, one bad qualifying session puts you massively on the back foot, not just a little bit. They've got to now kill it in every session.
There's 23 cars here, remember?
I know.
So you get dumped down the bottom of the points, which isn't ideal. Obviously, when you have a 16, 17 car grid, it's not so bad.
You get three very quick sessions in after your bad one, and you climb back up the order. But here, really, you've got to, you need to be P1 in Q2, Q3, Q4. And that time, I'm not convinced it's going to be enough.
No, they were doing, obviously, they were down to 239, sorry, with Johan Kristoffersen. That's a big difference.
Okay, well, we'll have to see. The rest of the session still to come. A couple of cars still drawing up to the grid in the background. You can hear them doing their tyre warms. Get them slotted in, and then we'll get this one on the road. Let's take a look at the grid for race 2 of Q2. Bennett on the inside, Tommy Rustad, Alex Wirtz and Kjetil Larsen. Wirtz and Bennett, of course, learning this track. If they'd got themselves a copy of Dirt 4, they could have learnt it already. It's one of the games that features, one of the tracks that features in the official game of the FIA World Rallycross Championship. Looking forward to seeing what Codemasters come up with next.
Have you played it? I know you've commentated.
I have played it. Yeah, I've completed it, mate.
Oh, right, okay. You're way ahead of me. I had to go at Silverstone last year when they launched it, and it's fantastic.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing if they'll come up with a few more tracks for us. I'd like to play a few more rallycross tracks. Here we go. These guys are going to play rallycross for real. Clunk the cars into gear. And they're going to head off the line down towards turn 1. Will we see sensible tactics? These are some of the guys who came together last time on the outside. It was Wirtz and Larsen. Rustad's jumped it, I think, but did he go in response to Larsen on the outside? It's listed as Bennett. So again, you see, that's where our eyes deceive us. And of course, Rustad right next to Bennett is probably creeping. Well, Rustad did the full launch, didn't he? Watch him. Look, Bennett, it's this tiny guy, and it's awful when he goes like that, isn't it?
But you know, there's a wily old fox there, Tommy Rustad, been around for years. What he's actually done then, instead of staying static with the car, he's released it. So he's allowed the temperature of the car. He's going to gain a little bit extra time for the car to be reset on the start line. He is not daft. He's probably done that deliberately.
Check the RPM, you know.
It just shows how confident he is on the line.
Well, Rustad, of course, made the semi-finals at Silverstone against all the World RX regulars on his first outing this year. Yeah. Bang, straight in. So we didn't see. I wonder if Bennett maybe responded to the ready to race light going out, but you know the car was creeping.
I think it was just on the biting point.
But I mean, and he knows the deal with how it works. It's 1.5 to 3.5 seconds now. The gap between that light going out and between the green coming on, a 3.5. We've had a few that have been close to that. It feels like a long time when you're sitting on a 600 brake horsepower rocket.
It does when the clutch is on the biting point and the heat's coming into the car as well, into the clutch. It just starts to drag. Here we go again.
Let's see if they get it right this time. Watch the lights on the left-hand side. Wirtz jumps it this time. Okay, so this could be interesting.
It could take a while.
Two people are going to do Joker laps. Cue the Benny Hill music as we line everyone back up on the grid again. And let's see if we can get everybody to do 2 Jokers. That'll keep the tactics interesting as well. Now remember, if anybody jumps the start for a second time, this is not like athletics where the second person to jump the start is disqualified. So Wirtz is not disqualified for that. But were Bennett or Wirtz to jump the start now for a second time, they would be disqualified from the session and sent back to the paddock.
They would indeed, but I think athletics now, it's a jump start.
Ooh, savage.
Yeah.
All those years of training.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not what you need.
We've got soft rules in World RX.
I'll just do a longer race. Yeah, if it's 100 meters, it's really critical.
You wouldn't want to miss the start by half a second.
Then you don't have to worry about reaction times, do you?
Yeah.
You will never see me doing a marathon, I think.
I know.
Okay. You saw me running earlier to get down to Neil in the paddock. Okay, here we go. Finally, we get away from the line. It's an even start. Rustad's getting it down to turn 1. Rustad edges Bennett and gets turned into the first corner on the inside. Then we've got Wirtz, and it's Larsen who've gone to the outside.
Yeah, funny enough, a decent start for Wirtz that time, but Tommy Rustad, you know, the old-timer as such, I dare call him that. He's just made a really great solid start. Oh, that's not necessarily, he's held onto it. It wasn't necessarily fast. Oh, he's dragged way wide on the exit. He's lost time there. You can see Bennett's closed up to him. I don't know if he just missed his braking or what there. He carried a lot of speed in. Oh, now Bennett's missed his mark. He's way out on the gravel. You know, it's not ideal. These guys are flustered now. They've had 2 false starts.
Yeah.
He's sat in the car. The heat's building up. It's a warm day. You know, temperature in those cars, they'll be 60 degrees easy.
So they really need to get lap times in. Yeah, so Bennett's gone joker this time. So Bennett, of course, has got 2 jokers to do.
Glide in the car. He talked about it himself. You know, he wants to correct it, but he's not even giving the car a chance to slide there.
It is nice, isn't it, when you try a different discipline, even within your own sport, and it's all a bit weird. It's like going and doing downforce driving if you've driven rally cars. It's just such a different world. So, okay, I need to relearn, and people love the challenge of that, and he's loving the challenge.
Absolutely. Put these guys, the top guys, Solberg and Christopherson, against him in an LMP1 car around Spa, Le Mans. Then you know that's his territory. But he is a top driver. Don't let anybody be fooled at home. You know, Alexander Wirtz has been around for a long time and had fantastic results.
And that's what's mad,
a different discipline.
Yeah, it's the fact that he's come to something where he's
watch here. He's too neutral with the car and he's slowed all the speed because he doesn't want to understeer again before he's clicked the handbrake. You need to float the car in there with the left foot. Sometimes a little bit of handbrake.
Towards the top of the hill, around the right and the left for Bennett. Here is Rustad, slightly flustered in this one maybe, but out front all the same. And lap times wise, Doing okay, not quite as quick as cross session. He was going into the joker lap for Rustad, and again he's just a little bit wide.
Tommy Rustad this race, very uncharacteristic.
Yeah. Okay, Bennett
he's
on
managing
the merge.
a problem with the car underneath him.
Yes, maybe. Larsen managed to edge Bennett. Of course, he should do really, because Larsen's only done the one joker, and the two guys who are right behind him have done two. So I don't think any of these guys are going to be right to the top of the timesheets, guy. We're going to be looking towards the later races.
Yeah, it's where Tommy Rustad's going to be featured. You know, he's got a lot of pressure. He's a local, and like I said, if there was money being placed on him, which I don't endorse gambling, but I would dare say there will be a lot in Norway that are wanting him to do well.
They will indeed. Rustad has taken it. 2:45.2, so he's actually only 2/10 off Grosjean in, but we saw a few mistakes from Rustad there, and it would suggest that these times are going to tumble as we get further into the session. So 2:53.0 for Larsen, and Bennett and Wirtz quite close to Larsen despite their double jokers, and Grosjean in slotting in, continuing at the top. Rustad slotting into second. So Neil is with Rustad now. Let's hear from him.
Tommy, after such a good run in Silverstone, you must be really looking for a good result in front of your home crowd.
Yeah, I'm trying my best, of course, but we was a bit unlucky in the first heat, and now the second heat, I think I was pushing a little bit too hard, so it was a kind of overdriving. So I don't think the time is good, but at least I get a clear run. So if the time is bad, then it's my own fault.
Thank you, well done.
This was when the start finally got away in race 2 after 2 jump starts for both Bennett and Wirtz. Wirtz heading into the joke up on lap 1, continuing to learn the trade of rallycross. Larsen went with him. And Guy, this was Rustad, who was wild.
Yeah, he was, by his own admissions as well. He said if the time was bad, then it was my own fault. And you can see there, he's just getting dragged offline. You can see even Bennett, even though he finished 6 seconds behind him, he was gaining on him in that part of the track, which just means he's hemorrhaging time.
This was Wirtz getting out onto the dirty piece of track. He's had dirty pieces of track before, but normally lumps of rubber and things off LMP slick tyres in endurance races. This is a completely different kettle of fish, but we know that Wirtz is enjoying it, and we're glad to have him here. Rustad holding on to take the checkered flag. Everyone's just having a nice chill in the deck chairs. I think they'll stand up for the last couple of races.
I think they're trying to catch up on some Zeds after their partying last
There was
night.
a big party at our hotel last night. Yeah, 250 people coming to meet Andreas Backwood. Luckily, we found a sneaky way down a fire exit into the back of the bar because it was carnage. They were bouncing. Have a look at
It was
Andreas
fantastic,
Backwood.
though, wasn't
it? Was great. Have a look at Andreas Backwood's Instagram story from last night. He's in the reception of the hotel, and they're going absolutely mad. If you're in any doubt as to how popular he is here, he really is. He's one of the two main men. Kevin Eriksson, Janis Baumanis, Anton Markland, Joni-Pekka Raihla and Rennie Munich will do battle in race 3. So we're heading in towards the top 12 now. Eriksson and Baumanis 11th and 12th. Markland is in 13th, so he will be keen just to drag himself up very slightly. Raihla is in 14th. Remember, the grid position for Q2 are decided on the results of Q1. So that's why you'll see Kristoffersson on the inside in the very last race. Away, first time, Munich goes left off the grid. Contact between Markland and Baumanis. He gets a squeeze on. Contact again between Markland and Baumanis. Baumanis a passenger as they ride up against each other. Munich going around the outside. Baumanis on the gas. Munich gets pushed wide. Markland's trying to pass him too. Out to the melee. Who's going to come through the dust in first place? It's Markland. Finally, Baumanis in the side again. Have some of that.
Yeah, they're handing it out. They're dishing it out very, very hard to each other there. And I don't think it was Baumanis that was the passenger. It was Markland. Baumanis was definitely going joker. Then he had to fight back hard so he didn't hit that track marker. Remember, as a penalty for that. So he was committed and he had to turn Markland out.
We've got Eriksson leading from Raihla on the standard lap, and these guys have been helped out massively, Guy, by the fact there's been a fight behind him. You could argue Joker now and just come out in the lead.
It's going to be really interesting. Raihla getting used to this car, and obviously he's following Eriksson. Eriksson is absolutely used to his car, even though it's a new car for this season. You know, his family-run team. Obviously, Raihla in the start car.
No
He's
testing.
doing a great job.
Yeah, no
testing.
testing
He's
either.
hanging on to Ericsson. I want to check the lap times.
These guys only had about 8 laps yesterday in free practice and a couple of laps this morning during warm-up. Alex Wirtz was saying to me he could have done with a bit longer. Oliver Bennett the same. You know, it's hard to learn a track like this. And Guy, from your experience last year, this is a tricky track too.
You see the front end of Ryler's car pick up out of that big compression. There's a hole. It's getting eroded the road in there. So yeah, it's only getting. I said it was cleaning, but that part of the track is definitely getting a little bit worse. I think you'll have to have a strategic line through there. Ryler's now going joker.
I wonder if he may change his mind a little bit late there though. Mark and I think will edge him. He does. The graphic says 2:10. I reckon it might be a tiny bit more than that. Remember, our predictor is based on 5 times of
Markland
cars.
is the fastest man on track. He's just done a 39.0. This is the first person we've seen out of this qualifying race session to get anywhere near a 38.
He rotates the car really hard down the bottom hill on handbrake and then full gas afterwards. You know, we're seeing really varied driving styles here, but producing pretty similar lap times.
I think you'll see a lot of the top drivers doing that. So look at the tyres smoking up, coming out that hairpin. Lovely line from Ericsson there, up and over. He's going to be going into the choker. Obviously, we'll see what the gap's going to be. 3.5 going in.
Here we go. Markland up the inside, Ericsson around the outside. It's going to be pretty close on the merge. Ericsson's hard on the gas. He should have the inside line, but Markland might shut the door. He tries, but Ericsson hooks the wheel over the curve.
Down the inside,
he's trying to get the car stopped. Ericsson's on the right-hand side now. He'll hold on down to the hairpin. Markland's all over him, though. Late on the brakes in the Polo. Great stuff.
Yeah, great stuff. But Markland's he's charging hard, but he just grabbed the curb on the inside with the inside wheel and it took them in there. Just lost probably a couple of tenths.
Again, look at the way that Ericsson's got the car turned at a different point.
That's going to become worse and worse.
Big hole on the exit. Round the last right-hander, Ericsson aiming for 2:45.0. That's a good indicator that it's going to get quicker. Not by as much as I thought, to be honest. Only half a second quicker, and that's Munich. Rennie Munich has parked the car. Whereabouts has he put that? I think he's put it off the track.
I think it's right down the bottom, Andrew, after the hairpin right.
So we have to wait and see whether we need that recovering or not. Baumanis crosses on. What happened to Baumanis then? Because Baumanis was suddenly out of the back door by about 15 seconds. So, okay. Well, Munich we know is a DNF. There he is. Baumanis, you can see 3 minutes. So he's 15 seconds off. Ericsson and Markland only about a second apart. And Rajal are not far behind them either. And they slot in all over the front page. So Ericsson has just gone half a second quicker. But we have 10 very quick drivers still to go. Let's hear from Kevin, who's with Neil now.
Kevin, I can see you looking at the timing screen. You don't need me to tell you your quickest so far, but was that a good time for you, do you think?
It felt pretty good on it was actually very bad track conditions now. It was very slippery and very bumpy, so I think everyone will be a bit slower. But I had to fight quite a lot the first corner. I got a little bit hit and got wide, but I got my position back and I could do my race. But I lost quite a lot of time, and it was tight to Anton, I think it was, from the Joker, and I had to be a little bit safe there as well. So I maybe lost a second in fighting. But I think it's okay. I hope I can be in the top 10 anyway, which I think I will be. So.
Thank you, Adam.
Thank you.
We ride on board with Yanis Baumanis off the start line in race 3 of Q2 up towards the first corner, and look at this, a little bit of contact from the left and the right, Guy.
Look at the steering wheel and the impact it's getting there.
Massive
He's getting driven as opposed to him driving the car. Look there, even fighting back across after Anton Markland comes down the inside. Some big impacts. I wonder if that's what cost him at the end.
And trying to judge those braking zones as well in the dirt. You're firing a car in there at over 100 kilometres an hour, and then jumping on the anchors when you can't see the apex. You can see how people misjudge their stopping points.
Absolutely, but that start car looks beautifully balanced through that corner.
Well, Baumanis, of course, in the sister car, but unfortunately maybe suffering some damage at the start. This was Ericsson towards the end of the race, taking a tidy joker line, but coming out very close indeed with Anton Markland, who tried to shut the door, but sensibly saw that wasn't going to be an option. A cheeky little look up the inside, couldn't make it stick, and that means Kevin took the flag and the top of the standings. 2 races to go in Q2. We're getting in now towards the factory cars and a few people who aren't in factory cars, and I think that's partly good results for them and partly the bad results for people like GCK in Q1, which has seen some people up in these top 2 races.
A little bit yes and no, because remember the Hyundais have been very quick everywhere else. Well, Niklas Grunholm has been. Timur Timurzianov, it's the first time he's come on the pace, but I'll talk about that in a little while.
I'm thinking more Larson as well. So Larson's not had the best of seasons, but we did see a brilliant full send joke lap from him in Q1. There's backward, looking relaxed. Norwegian flag, and of course the Audi rings of his new employer across the chin of the new lid.
I think he'll be feeling a little bit of pressure. Didn't quite perform as he wanted to in the first result, and obviously he got beaten out the Joker and ended up being third in his qualifying race, so he'll definitely want to improve here.
Let's see the lineup then for race 4 of Q2. Timmy Hansen on the inside of Backwood and Ekstrom, the Audi teammates in the middle of the grid and side by side. Got to be careful there. Niklas Gronholm and Robin Larsen probably willing to take a few more risks than the guys on the inside. Larsen in 10th. Look, you can see these guys are 6th through to 10th. As I say, the grid for Q2 decided on the result of Q1. Okay. Marshals will get the nod. People sitting and leaning across the banisters at the back there, and they have got just such a good view, but they will need fingers in ears and headphones on, because that's the loudest seat in the house, and it's pretty loud where we're standing. Well, good start backwards. Great reaction time on the inside. Ekstrom moves across to give his teammate backwards some room. Ekstrom's going to go. Joker goes deep with Gronholm, and Larsen goes in on the inside too. On the inside lap though, it's Hansen leading from Backwood.
Yeah, Backwood just stuck his nose up the inside there again, but you know, the car was very neutral through that corner again with Timmy Hansen. They both drive the cars that way now, and yeah, just tit for tat really.
These two down at the bottom of the hill. Now, it's quite tidy from the guys who went into the Joker lap here, so they're going to have to start watching the time behind. On board with Backwood, over the crest. Flicks it one way, then the other. Beautiful. Well, sideways, in fact.
Absolutely.
We saw Ekstrom like that, though, didn't we?
Absolutely, but ignore what we're seeing on the left-hand side. Timmy Hansen has not joked, obviously. We saw him go on the inside with Andreas Backwood, so he leads out on this race. And he's just eking a little gap, if it's any gap whatsoever, around Andreas Backwood.
Okay, so I think they've got a problem with Timmy Hansen's transponder, because we're not getting a signal from Timmy Hansen's car. So, ignore your timing. Keep your eyes on the screen. Timmy Hansen leads this one. You're on board with him now, and that is the face of focus of a man who has won a qualifying session at every event this year.
But that's
fully
a mistake.
Fully
that's
lit.
Not how he drives.
Grits his teeth. He'll know Backwood's getting them there. Backward will have him right in his sights.
Look again. He's all over the back of him. He's going to have a look on the inside. Look, he's all over him.
Backward
Timmy
needs
Hansen's
the Joker.
rattled a little bit. He's not driving there. That was completely uncharacteristic.
Massive.
Sideways. He's not sideways.
Surely Backwood's got the Joker and release himself. And he doesn't.
No, he thought Timmy was going to go for it, I think, because Timmy was very deep and late on the brakes and still managed to get his apex.
So let's see then, Matthias Ekstrom closing down on the guys in front. We've now got Hansen back up on the board, so his transponder started working. So he is now leading, as you can see from the graphics top of your screen.
Absolutely,
the
there
little
is
tips
Ekstrom.
That he hasn't jokered yet. Ekstrom is plus 2.6. Guy, what do you think the difference is?
I think that Ekstrom's got this, because the other two are holding each other up slightly, and Ekstrom's actually dropped Gronholm, Niklas Gronholm.
Look at the bumps too. You said about that, but that bump's getting worse and worse on the left-hand crest before the last corner. We said Backward wildly sideways as he's come through that last corner a couple of times. And Ekstrom is chasing them down now into the Joker. Here we go. Watch Ekstrom on the standard lap, loads the front corner of the car up. Back on the gas, it's not even close. Gronholm might slot in between these two if he's brave. He has a look to shut the door. Backward rides up the side of him and over the curbs. They're side by side down the hill. Gronholm's got the inside line. Gronholm nicks the place. Backward has a look up the inside, but there's no room to get through.
Fantastic racing. Gronholm is on it, and I predicted that he was going to climb up. He's made semi after semi at the moment, and a final, you know. You can see how bad the dust is on board as we ride with Matthias Ekstrom up around the hairpin one last time, up to the finish line.
Here's the target time. He's going to destroy it. 2:44.5. Bang. 2:40.8. 3.7 seconds faster. Thank you very much to the top of the table for Matthias Ekstrom with one race still to go. That's more like it.
Sam, you nicked my line.
Great stuff. Here's the result then of race 4 from Q2. Ekstrom taking it from Hansen, who had that battle with Backward. We saw the mistake from Hansen. You saw him ride the curb, and you saw that wonderful moment where you saw the look on his face of no. Backward behind him, chasing him down. Gronholm shut the door on Backward, did a brilliant job, and that's where these guys slot in. Look, the top 4 are quick enough to go to the top of the standings, but it was Ekstrom who kept himself out of trouble, and that's why he is at the top of the table. And he is with Neil Cole right now.
Quick heat, but you were quickest. That was a great race.
Yeah, I think the car was feeling a bit better than the run before, and I also didn't do any big mistakes, so quite happy with the clean run, but I know the fast guys are coming, so not sure it will be fast enough, but at least we're in the hunt again.
The Joker strategy was good.
Yeah, we spoke with Andreas before and said we'll split it, and then in the end we'll see who will come out first.
Well done, thank you.
Cheers.
Well, Ekström seemed happy there. Backward on board up towards turn 1, and again, it was good. See, Ekström was a clever guy, wasn't he? He moved across off the start to make space for backward, and then had obviously
Little tap
decided
from backward into the back of Hansen. Then he was never going to make it down, but he had to have a look just because the space was there. But Ekström carried great speed into the Joker first lap, and then he just got his head down. And obviously, we weren't watching a great deal of him because we're watching the guys out front. But we know he's a great racer, and he was the first guy to dip down to the 38.
This is where Timmy got two siders that launched it, and then we saw that brilliant onboard where you see him with the teeth gritted and eyes wide. Backward again,
compression
there's that
through
big
there.
bump through there, which you spotted a race before. You know, these guys having a little fight, and by now, of course, Ekström's going to know. He's sitting there behind going, thank you, I'll keep
In clean air as well.
You're about to hand that to me.
No pressure behind Niklas. He dropped a little bit with his good pace. And
Look
here we
how
have
physical these cars are to drive. Absolutely fantastic stuff on board, live with the FIA World Rallycross Championship. These races are happening right now while you're watching it. These guys are having these fights. Fantastic stuff. We hope you're enjoying it. Remember to share it if you are. Yes, Gronall came in. It was quite a strong move. Backward one like that goes around the outside, has a look up the inside, but all that battling just left Ekström out front, and Ekström look 240.8 compared to 242.4. Nicely done. Well, guys, still nobody has gone as fast as Kristoffersson went in the first session at 239.9. Ekström's on a 240.8. There's only 9/10 in it. Ekström had a pretty clear run there, I think, but track or you know, is Johan in, you know, number 1 mode?
I think that the track is actually cleaning. The dust is still there, but it was the first time. But we're seeing a few places on the track that left over the crest into the last corner up to the finish is actually eroding a little bit. And you can see how aggressive it is. If the guys get the car in there too sideways, then obviously it hits the rear wheel or the front wheel side on, and it unsettles the car so dramatically that might unnerve them a little bit.
You were sitting on board there with Solberg just a moment ago. You can see he's smack in the middle of the grid, and what a lineup to face off with him. Kristoffersson on the inside, Sebastian Loeb, Petter Solberg. I think they'd all like to have the choice of tactics at turn 1, but they may not. Timosjanov and Kevin Hansen.
Timosjanov is the unusual suspect in this lineup,
yes,
isn't he?
It's good to see him back on the pace. I say he was so close to winning here a couple of years ago and had a puncture, and I think he would have got Backward. I think it was Backward who beat him here that time. It was
last
super
year,
close, but here we go.
was his last final.
Was it really? Goodness me, long time ago for Timosjanov. Will he make it through this time? Hasn't made a final so far this year. Green light, wheel spin on the inside. Kristoffersson gets away to the line though. Him and Solberg edge Loeb. Loeb drops in behind. Solberg goes joker. Kristoffersson stays standard lap. Timosjanov's trying to go around the outside of Loeb, but he's going to have to drop in. Loeb pushes him wide. He puts Timosjanov not deliberately in the wall, but just a lovely move from Loeb there to cover him off.
Restarted. Yeah, he just drifted wide and.
Yeah, but did he drift wide to cover him off?
Of course he did.
Lovely though, you know, and he didn't touch him, so it's a fair move. But
I think there was maybe a little bit of touch, but I don't know what happened. I don't know if he blocked the wheel and locked the engine up and stalled the engine, because it was very strange. The car just arrowed off straight towards the barriers, didn't it? But anyway, back to the front.
Over the bumps here, Guy, looking to me via the Armco on the inside. If they keep the car a bit straighter and not so sideways, they're going to ride out of that bump nicely.
Well, you've got to be in a bit deeper, keep to the right a little bit longer, but not getting the loose, and square it off. Take a late apex so the car is straighter on the exit, so you're not sliding into that curb. It's like a curb on the outside.
Timosjanov is stuck at the side of the track, so the car is stopped there. I think I can see
disaster for him. He's out.
He's got out. So Timosjanov's car is stopped at the side of the track. Very, very disappointing. When we were just saying that this might be the one that the Russian would be on the pace for. Arms folded. You don't need to be an expert in body language.
I wonder if he has a message for Sebastian as he comes by, or not, how he feels about it or not.
We'll need to see the replays to see to guess what we think that message might be. Kristoffersson leads from Loeb.
38.3, bang, have that. Loeb 38.59. Petter Solberg 38.948. Kevin Hansen 39.1. So they're all there, very close to, if not in the 38s.
And we felt that Loeb last time, with a little bit of argy-bargy he had on the exit of turn 1, had maybe lost a couple of tenths of a second, but this time, you can't argue with the fact that he's right in behind Johan, and at the minute he's not matching his lap times, Guy.
Yeah, he just dropped 0.2 of a second in that corner where I said he's just dropped it a little bit, got a little bit deep, wide on the loose, and that was 0.2 gone there. So Sebastian will have seen that coming down the hill. He'll know he's probably not going to overtake him. He just wants to put him under pressure and make sure he's not too far ahead of him.
Kristoffersson and Loeb, who are currently P1 and P2 after Q1, are looking like they're going to hold those positions again. Solberg's trying to come around Loeb, but Loeb's done enough to hold him off. Solberg, in fact, was P3 in Q1 as well. So these three guys now chasing down the time of Matthias Ekstrom, and this is going to decide where everybody slots in. Ekstrom was only down in P8, so in fact these three I think are going to be on for the top 3 places overnight.
Over them,
up the hill, they are very close. On board with Solberg, you hear the gravel chatter off the bottom of the car. Christopherson pitches the Polo into the right-hander, heads towards the line. 240.8 is what he's after, and it's what he's got. 240.4, 4/10 quicker. Christopherson wins Q2 as well as Q1. That sees him the overnight top qualifier. Loeb and Solberg were 241.8, so no, they're going to be behind Ekstrom, but Ekstrom, who was down in P8 in Q1, I think you're going to find that it's going to be Christopherson, Loeb, Solberg, P1, 2 and 3 overnight. That's how they finished in this race. Anyway, Kevin Hansen was 4th, Timoziano a DNF. We'll have a look at the replay in a second and figure out whether there was any contact or not. And Q2 standings, Ekstrom does take 2nd, but as I say, with Loeb and Solberg up there in P3 and P4. But there's your man, the number 1 on the car, the number 1 on the timesheets. Johan Kristoffersen has dominated day 1 here in Norway. Final race of Q2. This was how it went down, and the start was the most interesting thing, really, Guy.
Yeah.
Let's have a look at Sebastian Loeb through here.
Well, Pedder got a cracking start, but Sebastian Loeb through here and Timo Timozianov. Let's watch now. Timo turns in on him, really.
Yeah, it's tiny, isn't it?
Timo tries to squeeze him more than anything else, but I wonder if it locked the engine up.
Shows what a massive passenger you can be when you get on the loose stuff, doesn't it, too? Like,
I think it just turned his wheel enough and it steered him out onto the loose.
So unlucky for Timozianov. This was Solberg, who we didn't see much of, but I tell you what, that's
it is
the
in
big
the car.
bump, isn't it, over the left-hander just before the start-finish line.
And if there's one car that's
lap,
designed,
the Polo should cope
exactly.
with it,
It was designed for World Rally Car stages.
It's sideways, isn't it? Nothing likes to go sideways over a big rut. So not ideal for the damage on the cars. But you know, these guys holding it together. This was Kristoffersen coming out front. Solberg will be disappointed not to have just edged Loeb there. That might have made the difference between 2nd and 3rd place overnight. But nicely done by the man with the number 1 on the car. And I have to say, he's looking on brilliant form this weekend. Taking the checker, bit of dust in the air, job done. Right, we're going to take at the look for the standings of Q2, after Q2, sorry, and it is Kristoffersen who's the overnight top qualifier from Loeb and Solberg, as we thought. And Matthias Ekstrom, look, moving up to 4th, he was 8th, but with that 45 points, which for his P2 in Q2, he moves up to 4th. From Timmy Hansen, Kevin Hansen, Andreas Backrud, and Niklas Gronholm is down in P8. Eriksson, Larsen, both the MSC cars are in. Markland at the minute is in, and so is Timozianov, despite that problem in Q2. That seems strange to me, but we'll figure the points out for you later on and double check if that's correct. But if so, we might yet see a result for Timmer.
Yeah, I think it might be correct due to all the carnage that we've seen.
Okay, so an interesting first day here in Norway, I think. Brilliant result, obviously, by Johan Kristoffersen. He's got the job done. He's won both of the sessions here. Remember last year, Kristoffersen won here last year after Sebastian Loeb had run over his foot. I don't think we're going to see that again this time, and it certainly wasn't on purpose, but this is a dominant performance. We didn't see Johan win a qualifying session until Silverstone. Suddenly now it's like tick,
bang, bang.
tick, tick. Yeah,
he's back
he's
to
on
his old form, isn't he?
He's on it, yeah, he's on it.
He seems very comfortable this weekend. Had a bit of crack before the start of the race weekend with him and his dad. We see them around the paddock, but I actually went in to see the team. So relaxed, having a bit of banter on social media, really comfortable.
Well, I hope you enjoyed Q2. Remember, you'll be able to watch Q3 and Q4 live tomorrow as well. You're going to go and have a chat with Neil Cole.
Well, you join us in EKS RX. Andreas Backward's car is just appearing in the background as if on cue, but that's not Andreas driving it. Andreas is in the truck, and he wasn't necessarily particularly happy to come out and talk to us. Not everything going your way in those 2 sessions, especially Andreas doesn't seem very happy.
No, I haven't met him yet, but I don't know what the problem was, so I don't know yet. But I have a decent run, so not much to say. And then we were lacking a couple of tenths to go even faster, but still we haven't nailed it in terms of feeling, but we made a step in the right direction. So far you have to say Johan is doing a very good job. Give compliment to him for this, and we will keep fighting. It will be a long evening to try and prepare better for tomorrow.
Now, to me, the car looks in pretty good shape. If we have a little wander around, there's a couple of classic sort of tyre marks and bodywork marks, but really, what can you do to the car overnight?
It's mainly setup. That's Bettel's car. That's just the normal rallycross. So I think it's more suspension balance. This track is very specific because the last corner when you go so steep uphill and then you go so steep downhill at some places. So you really need to have a car which is really good on the load transfers, and then also the ruts, you have to read them very good. And I did really good 2 laps, but I really did it bad 2 laps. I did a lot of mistakes in turn 4 and turn 6.
Well, in fact, we can have a look at that to see if that works out exactly as you said, because we can see on the monitor, although the monitor's gone down at the moment. Oh, here we go. There's your race with you and Andreas.
Yeah, I think a start. I had a decent start, clean, and into the Åker. I also felt a little love kiss from our Finnish friend, but except for that, I had a pretty clean run, only battling the track, so it was quite nice. But like I said, in the bottom end in turn 4, that's what you see right there is where the ruts in the exit are a little bit difficult to read, because it becomes like 2 trail rails you have to go into, and then in turn 6 it's a big hole in the exit, and when you drive in the dust it's really difficult to read and see them, so I was struggling.
Now you can see that Andreas looked like he was getting slowed down by Timmy, which meant that you got the undercut.
I think that's, there I see nearly run him over, so probably Timmy had a power steering failure or something.
But that's obviously frustrating for Andreas, especially in the dust.
Yeah, I mean, I had dust in the back as well, so when I went up the straight, I did not feel safe, I'll be honest. I just kept the foot down and I said, okay, I know, keep the steering straight and the throttle full, and then just wait for the best and hope that I arrive at the corner on the right angle. So there is advantages with blue sky, and there is also some challenges because the sun is burning hard, so it's difficult to keep the gravel section fair conditions for everybody. So if you water too much, the track evolution is too big. If you water too little, the dust evolution is a lot more. So it's a really tough challenge, which all the tracks suffer in World RX. But I think it's, you can't ask to have everything. And when you drive in front, you have no problems. And when you fight from the back, you have always a challenge on your head.
Now, thanks, Matthias. Now, we've been joined by Andreas Kohli.
Andreas Kohli, hello.
So yeah, you've just watched, commentated on all 5 of those races. What do you think in terms of the balance of power and the performance between them and Matthias?
I think it's pretty well. Of the climbers, you were the highest there, so I think you were P8 after Q1, and you've gone up to P4. It's very consistent at the top with the 2 VWs and Sebastian Loeb up there, but a nice step for you, I think. The development of the track, that hole in the exit of the second to last corner is interesting. I think the people who are coming over that crest sideways are suffering at the minute because the car's very much unsettled as the wheel crosses over the rut sideways. Now, I think there's an argument you could come through there maybe straighter to avoid the bump, but it's hard.
I couldn't even see it of the dust so well, so I went in there crossing my fingers I would keep the tires on the rim. So I saw Andreas's rim. If you take a look on the right front, you will see that I think he hit it pretty hard, and can be lucky that it's still air in. So, that's one little detail where the track conditions were looking a little bit bad. So, cannot say, sometimes you are lucky and sometimes you have bad luck.
Now, I think if we have a quick look at the standings after Q2, we can talk Matthias, you can talk us through how this looks to you in terms of moving on to Q3.
Yeah, I mean, as you see, Johan had a clean sweep so far, and Sebastian and Petra are fast, which I know. And I made a jump now, so I'm up in the top 4, and it's still pretty close between myself and Sebastian, and down to Kevin and Andreas. So I think the battle is the 14 points from P2 down to P7, I would say. Even Grönholm is a very, very good job on P8, so that's the game. To make double 50, Q3, Q4, I think it's really difficult now because all the big boys are in the same heat. So Johan, with being on the inside lane, will always have a huge advantage for the start now. So I think he looks really on side for a top qualifier, but the battle between 2 and 8 is still up for grabs for tomorrow.
And you're well in the thick of that battle. Listen, gentlemen, thank you very much. I know that we caught you before you even spoke to your engineers, so I'll let you go and speak to the team. Thanks, Andrew Kohli, good job. Thanks also to Guy Wilkes up in the commentary booth. Now, if you want to watch the live TV show tomorrow, which is of course the semi-finals and the final, then find out how you can watch that by going to the website below. But don't forget, you've watched Q1 and Q2 live today. We've got more tomorrow. We've got Q3 in the morning. and then Q4 before we get to that. So qualifying 3 is in the morning at 5 to 10. So set your alarms, tell your friends, get ready to share it, and then qualifying 4, the big decider to decide who are the 12 that go through to the semi-finals, is at 5 to midday tomorrow. So will it be Matthias Ekström? Will it be local Bakaroo Blue as the guy who gets a good result here? He'll have to pull out all the stops in qualifying 3, but luckily we'll be there. If you've enjoyed it, comment, share, ask us questions, #WorldRX. But for now, I've been Neil Cole, and goodbye.